Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back with today's question. This one says, Vinny, what is the best way to learn hypnotic language patterns? I'm finding myself stuck with clients. A lot of times I'm not sure what to say during a session. How would you suggest I go about learning more of these? Okay, so this is a really good question. So a couple different things here. So here's the thing. Probably the best hypnotic language pattern would be the ones that are most effective. And the ones that are most effective are going to be the ones that come up organically from your client, right? And then you sort of use those. So now this is actually incredibly simple. There's nothing difficult about this. It's you just being able to distinguish between conscious and unconscious communication. When you pick up on sort of what's being communicated, when you start to see things that way, that sounds a bit out there. It's such a cinch, right? So the way to arrive at this conclusion, or the way that the principle here that might be a little bit more helpful, if you stop thinking about language as a system of communication and you start thinking about it as a system of thought, okay? Realize that's what's going on when somebody uses language. Look, not to get into a debate about that, because that's a whole thing I don't care about. In terms of working practically with a person, if you want to leverage unconscious communication and utilize it to the fullest extent, this really helps, because it's not about so much what you say. That's so irrelevant, right? It's about what that client's experiencing. So what you say only matters to the extent you're influencing that. And we've talked about this in other videos where I've talked about Blaine Pascal and how folks are most often they're more convinced by reasons they discover versus reasons discovered by others, right? So anytime we can leverage what comes up for that client, it's going to be way more powerful. It makes this whole thing easier, right? That's why I don't use pre-talks, inductions, deepeners, etc. So literally learning to decipher if the unconscious mind is communicating you, and just learning to leverage that. You don't need language patterns then, right? It's not really a thing that exists. You're really just helping that client explore the nature of the problem and themselves in relation to it. And as you do that, when they communicate verbally, it's going to be ripe with all kinds of hypnotic meaning and unconscious meaning, and it's just a very powerful way to work with folks. So I hope that makes sense. I know it's a bit out there. I almost said at the beginning, I almost said silence is probably the best way to learn them, because it is in some ways about learning to silence what's going on inside your mind. Like it's like listening to really understand the person in front of you versus listening to figure out, okay, what's the next step I need to take with this client, right? Put your mind on understanding the individual in front of you. And as you focus on that, and as you become more adept at that, your instincts naturally emerge. And so I hope that helps. I know that's a bit out there, but it's kind of an advanced high-level principle, but it will make your work so much easier and simple, and you don't gotta go memorize a bunch of, just conjunctions. Basically, I think is what they typically are with folks. They're just using conjunctions. So yeah, I hope that helps. If you have more questions about that, if there's anything about that you want me to dive a little deeper into, I'd love for you to just comment or just shoot me a message and ask. I'll gladly see what I can do to make that even more clear if you're confused. So yeah, thanks for asking it. Anybody else, any other questions, fire away. I love doing this work. So take care, everybody.